Also, um, speaking of my Halo friends, there was this guy, Ratboy. Um, we used to play a lot. Well, I mean, at one point we did, and we played a lot all together, considering our like all of our games. It's quite a significant amount of games, even though he doesn't have that much time. But yeah, he seemed like an awesome guy. Um, I mean, like pretty amazing compared to most people. But yeah, now I can't even get a message from him. Like what the freak is going on? You know? I so I'm in this mental hospital. Haven't been able to play Halo for a while. Thought I'd message Ratboy. I did 9 days ago. Still hasn't answered. And so I sent him a few more messages just now. Like, man, you there? You know? And yeah, I just have a feeling he's not gonna answer that either. Wow, dude. And yeah, and I sent a message to a girl that I like that um, has liked me, and some of the time she hasn't liked me, but some of the time she definitely has, right? Like definitely interested, definitely, you know. I'm not gonna say strong because like what does that even mean? But yeah, you know, and no, I would say at some points uh, in our history, she was pretty strongly interested. I mean, the things she did, you know, there's no other way I could interpret that. And then I messaged her yesterday saying that um, you're pretty sexy, you know? Yeah, it was pretty much out of the blue. We haven't talked in a long while and stuff. So I wasn't expecting a positive response. I was hoping for it though. Um, but what came seemed completely uncalled for, you know? Like she responded, like, how can you, um, this is not okay. And then my name, uh, you need to, like, you're older than me. And uh, you, she's 18. Um, I'm 35. Um, and you, I have zero interest in you. And what else did she write? Well, something obvi- negative, obviously, really negative, and something about I don't want to have any more contact with you. It's like whoa. I just gave you a compliment, you know. Yeah, it was a it was a straightforward and sexual compliment, but this, like, whoa, you know. So I thought she was a cool. Well, at some points, I have thought that she was a really cool, actually, person. But this, I feel like this message is um, unintentionally evil, you know, um, manipulative unintentionally. She probably doesn't like fully realize it, but her message is extraordinarily manipulative, right? She's putting really heavy words and almost like a very creepy accusation in her message, right? Um, and that's considering that she's been interested in me, right? And completely denying it as well, you know, which is a lie. And I consider that manipulative and evil. Maybe unintentionally, but yeah, you know, evil. And she's by no means extreme evil, but definitely evil. And it's actually not the first time she's been evil. But amazingly, I've been able to, it's like, okay, you know, she is young, and everyone on I ever meet on Earth is pretty stupid, except for very few exceptions. Like everyone seems like a child in some way, or maybe multiple. And so I was like, okay, so if I'm gonna be happy, I need to overlook these things, you know. Uh, but obviously, maybe I shouldn't, because this is what I get, right? When she is able to do evil stuff, then I should, take notice and be like, okay, whoa, don't ever, think that that's a good person, because she proved to you that she isn't. She has good sides, obviously, some really admirable sides sometimes, but she also has that evil side, right? And she probably doesn't even realize it, and probably nobody else does either. But that, I mean, yeah, you might not agree with me. That's the way I see it, though. That's, and you're not going to be able to change my mind about this. You can, I'm open to hearing other opinions, of course, and I will respectfully argue back, but that stuff is not okay. What she's doing is not okay. What I was doing was simply, you know, giving her a gutsy and direct compliment. That's what I was doing. What was she doing? Manipulative, freaking terrible response. you know? Uh, Let me tell you about the most important other occasion when she was evil to me. We were standing around a bonfire. This was in a group, right, of people. We were there, uh, and it's a Christian context, right? And I was just standing there. She was standing like 2 meters away from me, and then next to her was standing uh, the pastor, right? And they were talking, and so I thought of something to say, and I spoke up, right? And there was a break in the conversation, so I thought, yeah, this is an appropriate time to you know to join the conversation, or to create a conversation that I can also take part in, and why not, And so, like, everyone should be able to, speak, right, and be heard. And so I started speaking. It's like, and I was speaking clearly, and they were not standing far away from me, right, a couple of meters, like. So yeah, like I was speaking up, and I know they heard me, but then they just spoke over me, and I know they know I spoke to them, but they just didn't care. That's horrible. That's evil to me. As if I don't exist, as if I'm not a person. Like, what is that? You know? That is absolutely horrible. You know, and like, and she wasn't the only one accepting or doing it, right? The pastor next to her as well. And I feel like if you're a Christian and you're a pastor and you're supposed to be, you know, like like you're striving every day to be a good person with a lot of emphasis on striving to be a good person, right? You put a lot of emphasis on that. That is what your whole philosophy is about, you know, because you know, God needs you to be good, wants you to, and needs you to. Um, Otherwise, you're not going to be accepted into heaven, right? I mean, if you're evil, then you're going to be destroyed. That's their belief, right? But then they still do this. I mean, a lot of the time, they're really nice people. And then they go ahead and do stuff like that. I don't get it. Right? I don't get it. Like, most of the time, they're okay. But then sometimes they're absolutely not. What is it? Like, that is kind of a trauma, you know, that they gave me. It's not, you know, a big deal because I'm amazingly able to get over things, like incredibly hurtful things, which this is. But still, you know, that the fact that I'm able to get over that does not make it okay, you know. Um, and it's like, yeah, I'm over it, but at the same time, it's not it's not okay. You know, it's like, that's evil. You know, just ignoring me as if I'm not a person worth listening to, who has a right to speak and be heard. I wasn't saying anything bad, or I hadn't done anything bad in like before that. And the pastor drove me to the event, and in the car I could already notice that I was like trying to strike up a conversation, and he was just ignoring it then as well. Like, what is this? Am I like socially retarded, and you're not, you know, and you're trying to teach me a lesson to not speak or do better? Well, anyway, that's not the way to do that. Even if I don't feel like um, that's true. But even if that was the case, and I needed to improve socially, that's not a way to do that, right? You don't help someone improve by just ignoring them, you know? Well, I mean, that's not always true. I mean, if someone really is, you know, but there are very specific situations where where that's the right way to go, right? Like, they need to be attuned to that to be able to, okay, so being ignored is a bad thing, right? Firstly, they need to be able to pick that up. Okay, I'm being ignored. Let's change my social strategy, right? Because obviously it isn't working. That's the first criteria, right? If they're not even if they're not even able to pick that up, then, well, then they're not going to be hurt by it, first of all, and second of all, it's not going to help. You need to speak up and tell them, well, dude, you need to try something else because what you're doing is not comfortable for other people, right? Um, and so, and sometimes that's what I need as well, you know? Not necessarily because I'm doing something wrong, but because other people are not. connecting with me, right, properly. And so I would appreciate it if they would be honest with me and love me, even tough love, right? So that and tell me directly so that I can know what I need to change in order to fit in better. You know, I would love for that to happen. That did not happen. They ignored me instead, right? Didn't speak to me, right? And I still haven't figured out what I did wrong, right? Maybe I wasn't being really cool, but I also wasn't being really awkward, right? I was being fairly normal, right? I wasn't speaking about a subject that it was really macabre. I wasn't saying anything that was, revealing personal information or about other people, or, I wasn't mocking their faith. I wasn't, and I can't think of anything else, uh, socially inept that I was doing either. I was just gonna talk. I was actually gonna talk about. Okay, so this might sound slightly bad, but you know, trust me, it isn't, because like we were talking about some slightly controversial things, and you know, the pastor was disagreeing with the wokeness of the times and stuff, and I said I was gonna talk about psychopaths, and like how do Christians feel like psychopaths fit into their faith, because to me it seems like psychopaths lack the ability, or at least the same ability, to be good, to be a good person. It's much harder for a psychopath to be a good person, although they can be, but it's much harder for them, right? It's like the chances of a psychopath becoming an evil person is really high, right? And so, how does that fit into the Christian dogma, right? That I thought that would be a fascinating topic, and I'm not exactly sure what words I used, but I didn't even start mentioning my topic properly when I started speaking. I was just like, so that's how far I got, basically, like a couple, 2 or 3 words. Not enough to know what I was gonna ask about even, and they talked over me, like it was in an obvious way. I mean, if their faith is true, then I feel like they should, get into heaven. You know, based on the principles of their faith, they shouldn't, right? If I was going to judge them by their own faith, then I feel like it wouldn't be fair to let them into heaven, right? Because, well, look at this, look at this, look at this. And it's like, because they talk about it all the time. Like, yeah, people pretend to be good people, but they're not really. Yeah, exactly. Like you guys, you know? You need to do better if you want to be saved, right? It's just a fact, um, that, or logical, that if this is your attitude, right? Not even every Christian who thinks they are being a good person is gonna get into heaven, right? And if that's the case, I don't necessarily agree with that, but if that's the case, then you're not gonna get into heaven for sure. If I was to judge logically, uh, from that criteria that I don't necessarily even agree with, then yeah, they wouldn't get in. That's not good enough. That behavior is awful. And I don't see them regretting it or even apologizing and asking for forgiveness. They have absolutely not. They probably don't even know that, you know, I remember this. They probably don't even know that. And but if they don't even know that they did something wrong, then I don't understand how their mind works. Because that whatever, however your mind works, I mean, and they are some of the more socially intelligent people that I know. Those people that did that, right? From other things that I can observe, when they are in a social context, they are some of the more socially intelligent people. Not less. And they still do that. You know, that is difficult to describe accurately how bad that is. But it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. You know.